center field. Going back is Gonzalez. It is gone! Two-run home run by Schwarber. Stays put, and there's a high fly ball. Deep right field. Harper watches it fly.
And we're back for another episode of the Double Switch Podcast. Going to be honest, if you're watching this, I'm sure you're feeling exactly what we're feeling. I was expecting to do an NLCS preview today. I was fairly certain that was kind of what was going to happen, but it didn't. Phil's drop in the NLDS, which, I mean, if you would have told me that a couple months ago, especially the fact that it was the Mets, I would have told you you're nuts. I had high hopes for this team. Philadelphia had very high hopes for this team, going in as the 2 seed, winning the NL East, putting up 95 wins, and seemingly building on the past couple of years, all to just fail us, fail themselves, fail in the first series that they got to this year. There's no other word than disappointing to describe it. I get the people that are angry, that are sad, but I mean, at the end of the day, it's just disappointment. I usually try to get on here and be a little positive, but it's kind of all I got for gut reaction. How are you doing, Johnny?
I'm bummed. I think you said it well. I guess disappointed would be the word this year. I guess 2022, I was sad. 2023, I was mad. And now I'm just discouraged and disappointed. They screwed the pooch. That was one fantastic way to basically entirely waste and have people forget about a really great regular season, because to go out in that fashion is just heartless, sad, and kind of a disgrace to the city.
Yeah. So after it happened, my first reaction was anger. Now that we're doing this a couple of days later, I think I've had some time to clear my head. We'll get into the actual series in a little bit, but the one thing that seems to stick with me that I can't seem to shake is this feeling that we're getting farther and farther away from the goal. That 2022, I just can't help but feel that was as close as this core is going to get. Every year we see them come up shorter and shorter. People are getting older and older. And honestly, just hearing these guys talk, it doesn't sound like that same 2022 group that when they got to October, they wanted it more than, like, it was like life or death to that group. Like, they would do anything to finish that, to beat who they were playing that night. And then this current group, you had the interviews in the clubhouse. I mean, you have the just basic platitudes towards the fans, just the basic excuses. Even Topper gets up there and he congratulates the Mets and talks about, came up short. Like, it's, at the end of the day, I don't want to hear that, because it just reminds me that we're really far from the goal right now. We're not much closer to the goal than we were in 2021 when we missed out on the playoffs. I mean, that was a quick exit against the 6th seed, albeit a Mets team that I think was probably better than we gave them credit for anyway. But on paper, we were the better team. We had the better staff. We had the better big bats. And I thought we had the better bullpen. But doesn't matter, because the Mets showed more heart and more determination, and the Mets are moving on, and we're going home, and we have a whole winter now to talk about what the future holds for this group. I guess that's my first big point.
Yeah, I think your point about the players' reactions, Thompson's reactions, I think that was right on. I was one, especially this year. I know I talked to you a lot about how I felt like the difference this year would be that, I mean, their whole running it back, I thought that the team would gel better, and I thought the team would kind of evolve. But I think we learned the complete opposite. These guys got complacent, and they got their ass beat. The that's the only way to really put it. We got our ass beat by the team we hate the most, and they get up there, and except for a handful, Schwarber seemed genuine, but a couple of those guys, it's like, all right, like whatever, see you next season. It's like they don't care as much as we do, and that was disheartening for me. And I think that's when we start talking about a little bit of a culture change. But Josh, I won't beat around the bush. Why do you think we lost the series?
I don't want to give ourselves too much credit, but we lost the same way we lost last year and the same way that we said we were going to lose. The chase rate for this team, I looked it up a couple of days ago. I want to say it's bottom 6 team in chase rate. When things are going bad, we're chasing bad pitches. And you get to the playoffs and you start pressing, and it just brings out those skill sets that we don't like about this team. Specifically, it's from the right side. I know our lefties, Brandon Marsh specifically, had a miserable series. But once you got past the Bryce Cassie combo, there were just free swingers down there who were not even close to making impactful contact. The whole bottom of the lineup was a dead zone. It was literally middle of Alaska cell phone signal type dead zone, nothing happening down there. And you can't get by with 2 guys going well. Bryce Harper showed up. He always does. It seems like Nick Castellanos, I am quick to point out when he's bad, but I will give him a ton of credit. He had a terrific series, and he was very good. But other than that, I mean, Schwarber had 1 big hit and Bryson Stott had 1 big hit. No one else did anything of note. Alec Boehm completely missing, has been missing for a month. JT Realmuto, I'm sorry. I don't care how old you are. Like, I don't care. I don't want to hear excuses. You're making $25 million a year. You have to get a hit in the NLDS. Like, it's just inexcusable going up there 0 for 10. Brandon Marsh, I mean, we're going to have a serious talk about Brandon Marsh at this point. I think there's a good player in there, but he went hitless. Austin Hayes was a nightmare. Johan Rojas is still not an MLB bat for a playoff contender. And Trey Turner, I don't really know what there is to say about Trey Turner. There's something really, really off about the start of this contract. He's supposed to be a superstar, like a superstar, top 10, top 15 player in the league, and he's not that player. I don't know if it's a skills decline thing. I don't know if it's complacency with his mindset, but I was expecting to get a Trey Turner that can take over a game, take over a series, and he's not that guy. He batted 200. He was supposed to be the guy getting on base in front of the big bats who actually were hitting, and he wasn't. And at the end of the day, he had 2 guys with OPSs over 1,000 and just nothing. And you can't win with 2 guys. I don't need to talk about the bullpen too much. I think there's good pitchers down there. I think the Mets came in with a terrific approach against those good pitchers. I think bullpen management is probably something more worth talking about. It was very interesting to see how these pitchers were managed. But starting staff was good. I think it's a lineup problem. And I think if I'm Dombrowski, that's what I'm pointing to at this point. It's just, you need to assemble a group that can find some consistency when it matters. And it needs to be more well-balanced because we have too many of the same type of hitters who can be exposed at the same time, just like they were last year. Same thing happened. And it was predictable as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think there's ever been a team to win a World Series that has so many players that you can attack the same exact way. There's 4 guys in this lineup that you can literally have the same exact game plan against and win. You can defeat them that way, and that's a horrible recipe. I mean, you look at how the Mets were. There was not one guy that we really had a consistent plan that was working. They were able to foul good pitches off. They battled, and the Phillies could not do the same with the just general competitiveness of the at-bats. There was very few at-bats where they fouled off, and then got a gutsy hit. There was not much of that, and that's concerning.
Yeah, so I just have a couple of things that really stuck in my head. I want to say the strikeout that JT had in Game 4 hasn't been hitting the whole series. He's up 2-0, and he fouls a pitch off, not a very good pitch. It was a pitcher's pitch, 2-0, and that's just dumb. It's just a dumb thing to do. And I saw a lot of hitters trying to hit pitches when they were way ahead in the count. I think Alec Bohm fouled off a slider that was way outside, up 3-0. And it kind of makes me even start to wonder, like where has this even come from? Because I don't remember this team being this bad at it. Like I think it's becoming a combination of it's a mental and a physical thing at this point. I don't think like it's you can blame one thing. I think K Long actually has we should give some attention to K Long because this is something that he should have known about and he should have been working on. But it's on the players to make improvements, and they didn't do it. And it got to the point where Bryce wasn't really even being pitched to. I think the plan was don't let Bryce Harper beat you, and they didn't let him beat him, and we lost. And it's even more frustrating because we were worried about Chris Sale. I think we mentioned Tyler Glass now, Dylan Cease. I mean, Garrett Crochet we were worried about before found out he was staying. And this Met staff is good, but though it's not those guys. Sev is not a top 10 pitcher in the game. Quintana carved us up. That's a veteran in the league.
Always
yeah,
does.
Quintana, and oh my God, Mania. Nightmare fuel from Manai. I threw a gem against us. I knew there was a possibility, but I really did trust this core, and it's really disheartening because now I really do feel like this core can't do it. I know they sat in there and they said, yeah, this group's good enough to get it done. They were at one point, in my opinion. I don't know if next year, with everybody being a year older, this core as it stands is good enough to get it done anymore.
No, and I think that's a fair read on the situation. This team is dull. Our youngest player is 27. It's Bryson Stott, except for Rojas. But I don't think Rojas will be an everyday player next year. I just think things have to change, and we need excitement, man. And this team was, at the end of the day, the bottom line, this team was boring, and they're not getting any younger.
Okay, so before we talk about where to go from here, can you just kind of rank like where we're placing the blame for this? Because it's gotten to the point where everybody's pointing fingers on Twitter or X, and it's kind of chaos at this point.
Yeah.
Rank it in terms of where we should be looking, because I've seen Dave mentioned. I've seen obviously the lineup. I've seen coaching staff. I've seen the bullpen. I've seen specific players. Where is the finger supposed to be pointed at this point?
It's a very good question. A loaded one. I think it does start from the top, not Middleton. That guy is
not Middleton.
As
He's
good
got
as he gets.
Yeah.
He's trusting his president of baseball operations and his team to bring in players that complement each other and are unique, different, and can get you wins in several different ways. Dombrowski didn't really do that. I like Dombrowski. I think he's a good guy. I think he's willing to do what it takes to win. But I think something that's been going around on the radio and on Twitter, we got to stop getting players that are just Bryce Harper's best friend. We need to evaluate players based off of what we need on a team. We need guys that get on base. We need guys that are disciplined. We need guys that are good defenders. And we just got a bunch of guys that, at the end of the day, look at Turner, Real Muto. I mean, it's just Hoffman. It's just a bunch of guys that Harper likes. And so I will say a little bit of Dombrowski. He's got to think for himself. He's got to trust his team to evaluate players and bring those players in. And then Topper. I've never been the largest critic, but I think it's time for a change. I just think for a while, the whole idea, I mean, this year, because it was going so well, it's like, trust the players. This is a veteran-run team. That clearly failed. This team needs a real leader that brings energy. Alec Bohm, that foul ball that was actually fair. I know you can't challenge that or argue it, but like, show some emotion. He's sitting there in a trance, not moving. It's like, do you care? Your whole entire season's about to be gone. Your job might be gone. Maybe stand up, raise your voice, yell. Do you know what city you're in? People care about that shit. So yeah, I think Topper, I mean, I know a lot of people are saying keep him, get rid of him. Let's bring in someone young. I'm not going to go into that. And then for players, it's honestly tough because the offense was so bad in general. Obviously, Bryce, Casty, they get the free pass. I think Stott's fine, but my number one is definitely Real Muto. I think his time, you texted me, he's washed. I can't stand watching that goddamn stance where he faces the dugout. Close the stance. Maybe he'll hit the freaking ball. Yeah, I would love to see us get rid of that final year in his contract and maybe attach a prospect to go get a younger catcher. I don't know. But yeah, he's my number one. Number two, I really think was Topper's stubbornness with the bullpen. I think it was one of those series where you're not going to score a ton of runs because the Mets pitching was locked in. And they knew all of our tendencies. And Hoffman just has this deep love for Hoffman and Strom. You can't go with those guys if they're not pitching well. You don't have 60 games for them to get out of a funk. You have a couple innings. So go with a different guy. We have three other guys that are capable. We didn't see enough of Alvarado. We didn't see enough of Ruiz. I hate it. And if I had to pick one more player, the starting rotation's safe. Those guys.
Those guys are sick. Yeah, shout out to them. They showed up. I give Nola a pass too because Kirkring didn't do any favors. Yeah, I was fine outing.
It's a fine outing. It's usually 2 earned runs. I think it would probably be Turner. Yeah, I think JT and Turner.
You're giving me a ton to unpack here. So before let me go through everything you just said because
I have a lot in my mind.
I know. I want to touch on all that before
we've been letting the dust settle this past day, and I'm boiling up a little bit inside, man. I'm trying to let it go.
It's making me angry talking about this. Yeah, so Middleton doesn't deserve any blame. He's been awesome. I feel really bad for him. Really bad because he did everything he could and he put a lot of trust into people who let him down. Dombrowski is interesting. Someone needs to do a tally of good moves to bad moves because it's starting to get ugly. The whole sign of veteran every offseason has never worked. We have Witt, we have Didi, Kimbrel, Taijuan Walker, pretty awful. Some of these trades, Gregory Soto was a fail. Austin Hayes is not looking too good. Probably need to talk about the Brandon Marsh trade, especially with JT being so questionable at this point. Dombrowski's gotten a pass because he's been very aggressive and the team's performed in terms of with the win-loss record. I don't know. We have to have a deeper talk about him. Topper, yeah, I agree completely. Too much trust. When I listen to him talk, I'm sick of the whole these guys are veterans thing. Stop saying that. This team doesn't deserve benefit of the doubt, and neither do you. Neither does he. Topper does not. You had a couple chances here with really good teams, and you didn't get it done. I agree completely on that. K-Long, I think K-Long's time's done. I know they're going to sell K-Long to Juan Soto, but it's tough with K-Long because these hitters are who they are. Cassie was a free swinger before he got here, and I don't expect K-Long to fix that. But I don't know. That's a tough one between K-Long and Dombrowski. Is it the team or is it the hitting coach? The hitting coach usually gets outed for that stuff because the hitting coach is an easier target, but some flawed hitters that he's put together. Yeah, JT's done. JT's washed, completely washed. I didn't think it would happen this fast because he's a good athlete. We can't count on him anymore to be an impact bat. That's for sure. Trey Turner, hot take of the episode. I don't think he cares. I just don't think he cares. In 2020, we had Gene Segura here, who was way worse of a baseball player, but he wanted it way more than Trey Turner does. Trey Turner does not care. He already has a ring. He already got the big contract. I don't think he cares. And it shows in his approach and it shows in his attitude in the field. He's an awful shortstop now. When did that happen? I don't know, but he is a liability at shortstop. And when times are bad, I do not count on Trey Turner to bail us out of it. He's not as good as I thought he was. And I don't feel good about the next 8 years of this contract because I had a nice look at his underlying numbers. He's getting slower. He doesn't hit the ball as hard. He's owed a ton of money. He's getting worse in the field. And his attitude seems to not match his ability, which is never a good combination. That's a tough one to swallow. I think Alec Boehm deserves a lot of blame too, because Alec Boehm was a run-producing hitter for the entirety of this year. And when we needed a run producer, he was nowhere to be found. I don't know if he's hurt. I don't know if he was ever fully healed from his hand injury. But
it's like that. It's like that Bart Simpson meme where he just like disappears into the bushes.
Yep, he was our cleanup hitter.
Yeah, and he went invisible.
No show whatsoever from Boehmer. Gonna have to have a tough talk about him too. And if you watch the podcast and you know my view on Alec Boehm, you will know how ridiculous that sounds coming from me. But there's 4 starting pitchers who just put them aside. They're awesome. I feel great about them. There's 2 hitters. One of them's kind of a liability too, but he performed well, so we won't even talk about him. And then I think it's fair game. I really do. Schwarber is fine. Stott, I think, is probably fine in the long run, but I think everybody else deserves a good hard look about whether we think we can win with them at this point, you know?
And yeah, I agree. And I think that brings us to the point, because obviously some guys, it's not like all of our concerns are magically becoming free agents this year. We tend to sign really long contracts for our players to get the best out of the front end, which is what we're doing with Turner, Harper, Casti. And then we have other guys like the Stotts, the Bohms, the Marsh that are on very reasonable deals. And they did produce for what their contract says. So what can we where can we go from here realistically where we improve without spending double what we're doing now?
Okay, so I do actually have a little hypothesis here that I kind of want to go into.
Sure.
So when was the last time you felt like the team was like really, really well balanced? I would say it's 2022 with the lineup, and why I think it was well balanced at that point. And I can't seem to get any traction on this hypothesis, but I think the type of hitters that Reese and Gene were better designed for like what we wanted to do. You had Reese, who was super patient in the 2 spot. This team, I want to say at one point, I saw a stat that said Kyle Schwarber had seen 20% of the pitches in one of those games, or something crazy like that.
That was the stat.
There's the patience of Reese Hoskins. I'm not saying we should have Reese Hoskins here because obviously he's not the same player, but that type of hitter, I think we need more of. We need more people to see pitches and just like Sean Manaea can't be going 8 innings. You know, like you need to get the starting pitcher out of the game as soon as possible. I don't care who they are. Make them throw pitches and battle. Alec Boehm, what was it? He saw 4 pitches and 3 at bats one of the nights. Am I right on that too?
5 pitches and 4 at bats.
That's even worse. Like, that is terrible. You can't do that when you're 1 for your last 32. Like, you had it's like the whole, like, keep shooting, or you lost confidence, but that baseball's different. Like, that's not going to help anybody if you go up there and pop up to the first baseman in foul territory on your first pitch. I think we need some patience. And Gene Segura had an innate ability to put the bat on the ball. And I didn't appreciate it as much as I probably should have when he was here. I think it's kind of what they envisioned Whit Merrifield being, but that helps too. Having someone at the bottom of the lineup who can just make contact, because Brandon Marsh and Rojas and whoever else we were throwing down there, I don't even know who's in the 9 spot half the time. Sosa, like, those guys they just swing and miss so much, and just put the bat on the ball and good things will happen. And I think that's why that 2022 team was kind of harder to navigate. Sure, we have better hitters now, Trey Turner, but like it's less versatile, and it's a lot easier to go at, this type of a lineup. So I think if you're looking at this team and you're looking where to improve, I think that's the prototype that we need. And how we get there is probably the harder question, because like you said, we have a lot of money tied up into guys that we can't trade. We have a lot of young guys who you never love trading them, but we need someone else to fill out that bottom of the lineup, make it deeper, see some pitches, and stop chasing the outside slider. And that's the hypothesis.
I don't think you're wrong at all with that. I think I was actually thinking about that this morning, how the Reese type of player, I mean, although he drove us nuts in the playoffs when, like, it wasn't going well, his patient approach, there'd be a scenario like this series where we need more than like 2 players to, like, be a little bit patient at the plate. I would say, I thought Stott and Schwarber both did a nice job.
Yeah, Stott's another one who I should have mentioned. He's very good at seeing pitches.
Yeah, Stott's the one young guy I'm not worried about. I honestly think, I know I saw like a little argument that was last year an outlier for him, or was this year a down year for him. His defense speaks for itself, and his approach at the plate is mature, and I think he'll turn it around. But what's the most logical move? Who do we subtract?
Well, I think Hayes is gone. I saw a Gelb article, non-tendered. But I don't think Rojas and Marsh can coexist. I think that the likeliest outcome is an outfielder. I don't know where it's coming from. But I really do think there's a chance we get creative and we trade like an Alec Bohm for an outfielder. I don't know if it's like the best idea, but I think Alec Bohm has some value, and I think this team and the front office can see Aiden Miller kind of in the twilight, coming up. Not twilight, the opposite of twilight. They see him in the distance, and they know that he's probably going to be a third baseman. So Alec Bohm's time here is probably on borrowed time. I think Alec Bohm for like a left fielder that kind of sees some pitches, preferably from the right side. We kind of, sign either a veteran or, we do a little Sosa, Clemens or whatever at third base. And then we try the platoon again in center field with Marsh and Rojas. The problem with upgrading the outfield is like an outfielder for an outfielder trade is going to be really hard, because like, why would you do that? You're just going to want the better outfielder, and you have to find just a perfect match for that. And it's just a very complicated trading Marsh for, a right-handed hitting outfielder. It's not impossible, but it's harder. And I think we run it back with the staff. I really do. I think we sign one of the 2 free agents. We'll debate who at a later point, but I think we just run it back with the same team and kind of swap in another hitter to replace Alec Bohm's impact. And we kind of hope that the length and the kind of changing of the guards in terms of approach is enough to get us over the hump. It's really tough because the window is still open, and you can't just close it. You have to try again with this core, like the big paid guys, because we can't trade them. No one's going to take JT at 34 years old, and no one's going to take Taiwan with 2 years after he just had that season. I don't think Soto's a logical fit. Well, I do think he's a logical fit, but in terms of payroll and like where the team's at, I don't see Soto being an outcome. I don't have a name for you now in terms of the outfield, but that's the idea, and I think that's probably what they're thinking too.
Yeah, it's a tough one to navigate. I would not want to be Dave Dombrowski this offseason because you truly are in a spot where your elite core they're fading, and the reinforcement troops in the minor leagues are not close enough. What do you do? How do you get better? How do you change the just whole construction of this lineup to make it a good team? I mean, a good because it's a good regular season team. I mean, we see this all the time. Look at the Braves, the last year best offense in like 2 decades, and then just not what you need in the postseason. So it's a brutal spot, and I want them to try to. I mean, I don't want to get too into specific moves because I don't even know if I'm ready for that yet. But I say you put JT Realmuto and like a Starlin Caba in a deal, send him to a team that has a dreadful catching situation and is kind of desperate to be good again, and then try to go get a top prospect somewhere. I don't know. I think we need. I think we need. I think everyone's saying it online. We need one of those explosive players, Dominican, preferably.
Dude, it sucks because you know who I would really like to plug into the lineup right now and who's not helping, who didn't help at all this series. I mean, just the fact that we gave up Logan O'Hoppe, who was supposed to be JT's replacement for Brandon Marsh, and now we're looking at Brandon Marsh and wondering if he can even help us anymore. That is annoying. That is so unfortunate.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's going to be really tough to figure out what to do. I don't know. We'll have to get back on here.
Honestly, it feels a bit hopeless if I'm being honest. It feels like how do you run it back again?
Like it's the fact that we've thrown money at it twice and it hasn't worked, so we can't throw money at it again. It's not.
That would be what you call insanity.
Yeah, we know it won't. So we can't do that. And then, like, do you really want to be trading people again? We traded people already, and now we're missing the guys that we traded, and the guys we traded for didn't help. And like those guys are supposed to replace the guys that we don't like now. And like, well, I don't know. I really have no idea. And I didn't think we'd have to figure this out because I trusted them. I really trusted them. I trusted the core, and they let me down. They let us both down. They let everybody down.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'll one positive. All right. Thank you, Phillies, for a fun game 2. I got to attend. That was cool. But fuck you for everything else.
Oh God. Now we gotta tell the producers to put a little PG-13 on this. No, I think that's pretty well said. All things considered. 123 days till spring training.
Kids in Philly know that word.
123 days for us to ponder what went wrong, and I don't know. I didn't think this would be a low point in the podcast. Now that we've been doing this for 3 years, but here we are. I don't know.
Bro, I'm honestly looking more. I'm looking more forward to our grouper sandwiches in spring training than I am the Phillies 2025 season.
I hope Milton didn't hurt my Frenchies down there. I'd be so mad.
Milton better back off.
Yeah,
we need Frenchies in a couple months, and the Hurricanes are not helping.
Frenchies for morale.
Yeah,
because the
only
Phils aren't providing it, so we'll have to go to Frenchie's.
We gotta go. I could use Frenchies and a cold beer right about now.
Oh man, a couple months before we got that, but I think that should do it on this episode. I don't have anything else, and I think that we should take some time to think and kind of ponder where to go from here before we kind of even start to speculate about the off season. So yeah, we usually don't have all October to think about it. Usually it's a week or two in October towards the end. Now we have all this time, so I guess we will be back eventually to discuss how we might fix the Phillies, because they need a lot of fixing.
Yeah, I think we'll definitely need. I think you guys could probably expect to hear from us a little probably after the World Series. See how that plays out. Hopefully the Mets and the Padres, Dodgers, hopefully they all lose. And
Dude,
the Tigers
who
win.
are you even root? Yeah, is it It's Tigers now, right? 100%.
I guess it's Tigers or nothing.
Oh man, I can't stand any of those teams.
Yeah, this is pretty lousy outcome for playoffs so far.
Yeah. All right. I think that should do it. As always, thank you guys for listening. We are sorry that we don't have better news. We're sorry that the Phillies let you down, but it's okay. That's baseball. And as always, take care, everyone.